Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, voters now, we have a candidate here for District 3 of Arlington, Texas. Her name is Diana Saleh. I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Diana Saleh? Cool.
You actually
And
got it on the first try. That's amazing.
really, what's the other attempts that you usually do?
I hear a lot of Sila,
I've heard
Sala.
I've heard that
Um,
one.
yeah.
I grew up with friends who had the last name Saleh, and I was like, oh, okay. And so I used to say Sela, and then I would say like, is it Sela or is it Saleh? And they're like, it's Saleh. But she's running for District 3 of Arlington. She's amazing. I've been doing a lot of research on her. This is my first local election. I'm 20 years old, by the way. I thought you should know that. I'm young. Uh,
That's
and I on my Facebook and my company, we endorsed your campaign fully. We did a bunch of candidates, and one of them was you, because I see potential in you.
awesome. Well, I'm truly honored to have your support.
So Diana, how are you today? How's campaigning? How's life? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Can't complain. It's been quite the journey for the last 6 months, and we're just coming off of early voting. So if you would have asked me that question maybe 2 days ago,
I've been
I would
seeing
I
you.
would
I've been seeing you on the streets and like going like early voting. Let's go. But you've been
yes,
you've
just
been out there doing it.
just trying to get out the vote and making sure people know where to go and the times that the polling locations are open. And it's also just so much fun to meet people in person. I mean, we've done a lot of block walking over the last few months, but we couldn't reach everyone. Some folks were still kind of uncomfortable about coming to the door during the pandemic, understandably so. So just getting that face to face with them right before they go vote or afterwards was just so much fun. But it was a lot of running around, bouncing between the different polling locations and still trying to get the vote out after the different locations close. And so I may have given you a little bit more of a stressed out answer.
No,
I've had
no.
time to decompress.
I know today's like your like relaxed day. Like we were just out there doing all this. If people miss early voting, they can go vote May 1st. But
Yes,
yeah,
Saturday.
Saturday. It's a Saturday. Um,
Saturday.
what was so great about this election was this is the first time that I actually took like I actually cared about voting. I'm a youth. I'm one of the youth, and one of our biggest problems in America is that the youth is not voting. Um,
Right.
and my campaign for my show is to get the youth to vote. So I've been having local election. I had a person who's running for Congress on yesterday. Um, and so I want to ask you, how are you getting young voters and even old voters to vote for you?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I'm truthfully, I'm someone that has never really had too much of an issue connecting with folks from all backgrounds, all ages. I feel like there's always something that we can find common ground on. But specifically as it relates to younger voters, I think, when we first started our campaign, we really wanted to make sure that our campaign was inclusive of everyone from all backgrounds, ethnicities, religious backgrounds, you name it.
Hmm.
And it really just organically happened that way. And I think just when folks took a look at our policy and what we were trying to achieve, and the fact that I'm a little older than you, but still fairly close, right? I'm 32.
Wow.
Even though I look a lot younger, which is a blessing and a curse when you're a candidate, because some folks are like, she looks so young, and they tend to equate that with
I have a funny
inexperience when
story. I have a funny story for you, actually. So
oh,
I got to
go ahead.
speak. I got to speak with mayoral candidate Jim Ross recently, and me and him are good friends. We've known each other for some time now, and I told him about my story about when I was going to run for mayor during this election. I was like,
Really.
I was gonna run, and he goes, why didn't you? And I said, well, you were running, and he's like, he started joking, but I go, no, I'm too young to do it, and he's like, no, you're not. You can run. And what's so interesting is a lot of candidates now, whether they're old or young, they have fully support young people getting out and getting their voice heard. You know, Especially nowadays, like the youth don't think people want to hear from us, but they do. I Are you in support of that?
No, absolutely. I found that to be true as well. There's so many voters that I've had the opportunity to connect with, and residents in general, just in District 3 and Arlington as a whole, that are really excited to see young people stepping up. And the reality is, like you said earlier, we're underrepresented at every level of elected office. So the fact that younger individuals are stepping up and running, and they're also seeing, a lot of our volunteers are also, we have, older volunteers, but we also have volunteers that are as young as high school, who
Wow.
have never worked on a campaign before but saw ours and decided to step in and really get involved. And when I tell you, they've, just fully ran with it. They've given us their energy and their passion, and just, their knowledge. And I think more often than not, people try to discredit younger folks, and try to equate youth with inexperience, which in the reality, it's, you really don't know what people's life experiences are. I mean, just because I'm sure, you're 20, but I'm sure you've seen quite a bit in your 20 years
Oh
of
yeah.
life, and you've had some lived experiences that really inform your perspective. And so people shouldn't just say, oh well, he's 20, he shouldn't, get involved in the process. I know you can't run for mayor just yet, but like, just kind
Yeah.
of
Well,
building
actually, in the state of Texas, you can run for mayor at the age of 18.
that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what the big joke was when I turned 18, I was like, all right, I'm gonna run for mayor now. And they're like, no. And then I even said at the time, because Texas district, um, how we do district like elections is weird, because we have like 7 districts. Is that right in Texas or in Arlington area? I don't know.
No, Arlington actually has 8
8
districts, but you're
districts.
close.
Yeah, and like each election has a different year. Like this year, I think it's like what 3, 4, 5, and 7 or something. And then
Right.
it's weird. But then I joked about like, all right, I'll run for city council then, and everybody was on support for that one. So you might be seeing a chapel for District 2 here shortly.
Hey, I'd love to see it.
But let's talk about you. What were you doing as a career before you started running, or are you still doing it as a career?
Yeah, so I'm actually in pharmaceuticals. I have a background in pharmacy. That's what I got my undergraduate degree in. Was on the farm, the retail pharmacy side for a little while, and then quickly realized that wasn't for me, and decided to go on the corporate side. So I work for a healthcare organization out in Las Colinas, and I'm still doing my job, still working full time and campaigning full time. Um, but in order to do that, everything else is on the back burner, right?
Mm.
Personal life and laundry and all those things. Like you have to put it off for as long as possible.
Do you think that's like a do you think that's an issue with running for office? Like, is that so much stress added on to you, or are you just like, you know what, I don't care. I'm gonna be elected. I'm gonna be the winner here.
It does pose its challenges. I'm in a unique position where I have a boss slash company culture that's really supportive of civic engagement. And before I even started thinking about running for office, I made sure to let them know that this was something that could be coming down the pike, and they were all for it. So um, that I think is a unique privilege, because I know a lot of people don't have that type of support, at least from your employer, and it does make it really challenging. So um, their support of my campaign has allowed me to have the flexibility to
Well,
sometimes do things like we're doing right now during the day, or it certainly helps that I've been working from home for the last year. So I can manage my schedule a little bit better. But they really are, they're just, like, hey, as long as you get your work done, you don't drop the ball in anything. And I've, you know, found that to be a skill of mine, is managing multiple priorities at the same time. But then again, I haven't been, I had to pass on going to one of my best friend's weddings,
oh,
recently, and haven't seen, actually, well, my friends that I have seen, I'm like, okay, yeah, we can definitely hang out. Come block walking with me.
yeah, let's hang out for my campaign. Because if
I
I
would love
win,
to.
you can say if I win, we can hang out as much as you want if you help me.
Right.
Let's talk about coronavirus here. You said that you've been working from home for a year. This thing has been going on for a year. Can you believe that?
A little over now.
Man,
Absolutely.
2020 felt like 40 years. So
It really
it
has.
really did. what is your plan for small businesses during coronavirus? They have been affected the most in this, whether it's laying off employees or shutting down entirely. What is your plan to help small businesses?
Right. That's that. Of course, that's at the forefront of COVID and just pandemic relief across the board, but particularly as it relates to small businesses, we definitely want to continue to support them as much as possible as they reopen, as things kind of slowly get back to normal. But I think most importantly, we have to, what I would really like to do is host a small business roundtable and really hear from the business owners, what their exact needs are. What did they need last year? What do they need this year? What do they need moving forward? Because I know it's unique to every business, but the city has a lot of great resources, and whether that's if it's a new business that wants to open, and helping them in terms of accessibility in the permitting process, and trying to simplify that, because sometimes those things can be a little daunting if you're a new entrepreneur. So simplifying that process, but also for our more established businesses and the ones that kind of already had been there pre-COVID and now are kind of feeling those after effects. It's so important to hear them and see what they need, and make sure that we do it in a way that is also still safe, because we're not entirely sure. I know a lot of businesses are opening back to full capacity, and the safety of our residents is also of the utmost important, and that includes their employees and as a whole. So just figuring out how we could do that effectively is just so important. But I would look forward and welcome that opportunity to just sit down with as many businesses as possible and truly understand what their needs are, because every time we think we have a handle on something, it's like, oh no, the world is going in an even different direction,
Yeah.
and it's accelerating too.
So along with coronavirus, Greg Abbott, our governor, lifted the mask mandate earlier this year, and everything I see you campaigning and you're wearing a mask, your team's wearing a mask, and for me, I wear masks to keep other people safe. That's the main reason why. I got the first vaccine shot. I'm about to get my second one next week. So what is your opinion on the mask mandate being lifted? Are you for it? Are you against it? Are you, if I'm elected, we're gonna get that mask mandate back in order? What is your whole issue with this?
Yeah, so it's definitely it's a hot topic right now, right? You have people from both sides that are just either vehemently against it, or the ones that, such as myself, that continue to wear it. And I'm with you on that. The reality is that I'm young and healthy, and so I've, knock on wood, have been fortunate not to have caught COVID
Mm,
yet, or at all. And so, if that were to be the case, I would likely bounce back very quickly. But to your point, it's about caring for others. There are so many folks out there that are immunosuppressed, that are elderly, that have so many underlying health conditions, and I can't in good conscience think of, I'm going to be out and about. And especially now as a candidate, for so long we tried to social distance and things of that nature. But as a candidate, I'm out and about, I'm forward facing, I'm meeting so many people on a day to day. And I can't in good conscience for myself, even inch towards potentially harming someone else. I could meet someone that is any one of those things that I just mentioned earlier. So for me, it's really important, again, to keep people safe, and that's what we've been very cautious about that. Still continuing to advocate for social distancing measures. I know it's really hard to do so in some instances, especially when the world around you is, again, moving so fast and everyone wants to get back to normal. And I also want to get back to some sense of normalcy, right?
mm,
But for us, it's just important. And we kind of set those guidelines very early on, everyone that's volunteered with us, and like, for your safety and for the safety of others, for the safety of the residents whose homes you are knocking on, for those that you are meeting out and about. You just never know what could happen, and it was really important for us to continue to adhere to that, and we will still do that, and have been. But you're right, it's just it's an interesting time, and it's one of those things that people feel strongly about one way or the other. But the only thing I can control is my circle of influence right now, and as far as we're concerned, we'll continue to wear it.
good, good. Let's talk about your campaign. So you said you're young, you're 32. What is going through your mind right now that you're like, we're getting closer to election night? Like, I could possibly win this. Is that going through your head? Are you frightened? Are you scared? Are you nervous? How are you feeling right now?
Well, to be honest, I would be lying to you if I didn't say I was a little anxious,
Hmm.
because you're definitely in it to win. No
Right.
one just gives up uh, the sacrifices that are made, and of course, I've had. It's not only for myself, but I feel a lot of pressure for those that have either, been with us from day one or became supporters along the way. It's for all of us. It's really just not about me. I would be the person elected, but it's for the community. It's for the community that we've built, and it's for District 3. So there's a lot of pressure riding on it, and I just want to make sure that um, that the community's needs are met at the end of the day. But as far as how overall how I'm feeling really good. I'm really
That's good.
truly proud of everything that we've done, that we've built. The the community that, again, just it speaks to our community, speaks to the diversity of the city. And I've just been so honored to have so many people from all different walks of life just really invest their time and their energy and oftentimes their resources into our campaign. So it's mixed feelings, but I'm feeling good. There could be in our race, I have 4 opponents, so there's a likelihood of going to a runoff. So if that's the case, we'll continue to pound the pavement even harder
Right.
for another month or so. But we'll see. We'll see. It's all up to the voters. You can't take anything for granted. We worked really hard, but again, it's up to the voters, and that's another thing that Arlington has historically low voter turnout. So
Hmm. They
we
do.
need folks to get to the polls.
Wasn't it like the last election? It was 110 votes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Gosh, it's just it baffles me because Arlington's such a big city. We're in the middle of Dallas and Fort Worth, and we're one of the big three. I'd say because we have Rangers, we have Cowboys right there, Six Flags even, and
Right.
it's interesting that we have the lowest voter turnout. You know, it's interesting. Let's talk
Good.
about let's just talk about your endorsements here. All right, I'm looking at the list here. You got Arlington Professional Firefighters, Tarrant County Central Labor Council, Run for Something, Muslim Democratic Caucus of Texas, man, Himalayan Democratic Club, Sunrise Movement Tarrant County, Our Revolution in Texas. What got so many great endorsements. Let's what's going through your head when you get these? Like, how do you even get these endorsements? Like, do they call you like, "Hey, yo, we're the firefighters and we like you, so we're gonna go with you." Like, what's going on?
Yeah, so the endorsement process is a really interesting one. For some of these groups, kind of similar to yourself, they learned about our campaign, did their research, and were like, "Hey, we want to endorse you." And for that, I am very grateful for the support always. And so for some of these groups, that was the case. And for others, for example, the firefighters, you actually do have to go through a very extensive endorsement process with them. And then, they ultimately make their decisions. And so, and same for Run for Something and Our Revolution. So it kind of goes both ways. But the Arlington Firefighters Association that was pretty intense. You go and you interview in front of them and their board, and it was just a great experience overall for them to get to know me and for me to hear, some of their issues and what their concerns are. Because again, the safety of our first responders is an extension of the safety of our community. So we've built a great partnership so far, and we'll continue to do so. And they've been great support. But yeah, it's some of them. The Tarrant County Labor Council is also a pretty extensive endorsement process as well. So yeah, it's just, again, so fortunate to have the support of our residents, of amazing community members such as yourself, and of all these great groups that, at the end of the day, many of them are so different, and they come from different, they have different interests and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's, we can all agree that we just want what's best for the community.
Yes. And looking at these two endorsements, you have the Muslim Democratic Caucus of Texas and the Himalayan Democratic Club. So, let's talk about this. I am a humongous advocate like, for country over party. You know, you have one of these, the Republicans, who look at this and say, "Oh, she's endorsed by Democratic people. I'm not going to vote for her. She's a Democrat." See, I don't care about that. I pick a candidate who I think could do good things. In this case, how are you getting Republicans to vote for you?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I'm with you. So it is a nonpartisan race. And again,
Yeah,
you know,
not a lot of people
the
know that. I'm working with a guy who's running for district clerk of Tarrant County, and it doesn't matter what political party you're in, but they're still fighting each other. Like, oh, he's not a Republican. Oh, he's not a Democrat. Blah, 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 blah. It's weird how they do it, and it doesn't matter. Just vote for somebody who thinks is gonna be good at the job.
I will agree with you, especially in this case. I mean, there are races where it is very partisan, and that definitely does matter. But for particularly for city council and anyone that's maybe not doesn't agree with me politically or from that standpoint. The reality is that I'm focused on people issues and not partisan issues.
Mm,
Everyone in the community wants a safe neighborhood. Everyone wants their street lights on and their roads paved and their trash picked up. There's no Democratic or Republican way to do that, right? And so that's what I've truly been emphasizing. And I will actually tell you that I've had a lot of folks that are generally very conservative. Once they meet me and they hear what I'm about and what I'm trying to achieve, they are in support of the campaign and of me as a person. So it's definitely hard, especially because of the last 8 years or 6 years specifically, more so. Of how politicized everything is and how very partisan it is. One of the first questions I consistently get asked is, what my party affiliation is, and
yep.
it's definitely on the forefront of a lot of people's minds, rightfully so, right? We've just seen a lot these past few years. But as it relates to city council, I think my message stands true regardless of whether you agree with me or not, or even if you voted for me or not. I will still continue to make sure your needs are met. If you are a constituent of mine in District 3 or an Arlington resident, my plan remains the same. My promise to you remains the same, is to advocate for you just like anyone else. And I hope people can see through that, because so much of what our city needs is it's universal issues across the board. We all want the same things at the end of the day. So I've been fortunate to have support from both sides. And I did. I mean, I didn't, discredit one group over the other, try to say, oh no, I won't meet, any group that's extended an invitation to me across, the campaign, I've met with. Whether they were Republican or Democrats or different civic groups or nonprofit groups, or literally anyone that extended an invitation to me, I met with, because that's really important, is to hear everyone out. And I think our different perspectives are such a valuable tool for good policy. And I always say, even if you don't agree with me, I'm sure we can find some common ground somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope they'll continue to work with me if elected.
Wow. Good answer. Good answer. I'm like sitting here doing a job interview, like, all right. It's like a giant checkboard. It's like, is she fit to be city councilman? Yes or no. Check here. Um, I've been looking at your policies and your issues, and I have to say there's a lot of them involving UTA students, AISD, and that's the thing that I like to see, because I'm a huge advocate for education. I think our education system is going downhill. People might disagree with me. People might agree with me. I don't care. I've lived in, I've gone to public schools all over Texas. I have seen what's going on in those halls. And I want to make sure that, what's going on, especially right now with, shootings and our attendance is going down, motivation's going down as well for schools. How are you going to work with the other city councilmen and the mayor and the AISD board? How are you going to make schools safer and more, I guess the word's more important for students to go to?
Absolutely, and we should make a quick call out that there are Arlington students that are actually they go to MISD schools.
Mm.
I feel like they often get overlooked from the conversation, so it's actually incredibly important to work with both the AISD and MISD school boards. But you're right. I mean, education is something that I'm a strong advocate for. I've been fortunate to have a great education throughout my life and teachers that have just poured into me along the way. And so I will continue to appreciate teachers near and far. But it's been a tough, there were issues prior to COVID, and with COVID, it's only been exacerbated with so many kids kind of, doing the hybrid schooling model or doing completely at home. And it's definitely going to need all hands on deck to make sure that our students don't fall behind. But as far as working with the council, working with the school boards, I think everyone, without question, wants to make sure that our students have the education they want, that they need and deserve. And also, in addition to that, job readiness is so important. So what happens after you graduate high school? Making sure that you have the skill sets when you enter a very competitive workforce, that you are actually able to take the skill sets that you've learned throughout your education and apply that to a way that allows you to really thrive. And so again, without question, I think everyone wants to get to work on that, wants to partner together. And that's where I value collaborative relationships, building relationships across the board, whether that would be with fellow council members or the different school board members, just to make sure that we, one, keep our students' needs in mind, keep our teachers' needs in mind, and overall come up with a solution that benefits all parties, as well as make sure that the piece about job readiness also isn't left out of the equation. And I know there's a lot of conversation around equity and what that looks like, because different students have different needs, whether that's due to your different learning abilities or perhaps your background, or and so tailoring that approach is also incredibly important to keep in mind when we're thinking of our students and how best to approach that.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. All right, let's take a break from politics here. All right, I bet you're tired of talking about politics.
I mean, I enjoy it. It
Yeah.
energizes me, but I'm definitely a multi-dimensional person and have interests outside of that. So
So
hit me with what you.
let's ask you some fun questions here. All right, ready for this? Favorite
Let's do it.
movie? What's your favorite movie all time?
I have two,
Okay.
which are like, if I tell them to you, you're gonna be like, wow, those are so different. But Breakfast at Tiffany's is one of my favorite movies,
Okay.
but also The Shawshank Redemption.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. What's funny
I
is
love.
that Shawshank is one of my best friend's favorite movies. And I haven't heard Breakfast at Tiffany's in a while. Wow. Interesting. All right. Favorite type of music? Go.
Ooh, I listen to all genres, but if I really, what makes my heart happy is '90s R&B.
Good answer. Good answer. That's a good answer. Music now it's bad. I'll just say it. I don't care. I can get canceled. I don't care. I host the show. It's my show. Uh, all right. You ready for this one?
Hmm.
Here we go. Favorite ride at Six Flags.
Ooh, I love the Texas Giant.
Okay.
I could ride that over and over. I love roller coasters in general, but that one's my favorite.
All right. This is how you get the Arlington voters. Ready? Favorite baseball team.
Ah, duh, Rangers.
All right. Good. But if they
But I
weren't,
will say,
go ahead.
I will say, to be true to my roots, I grew up in New York City, so I will always have a special place in my heart
You're
for
a
the
Yankee.
Yankees.
Oh no,
I mean,
no.
Derek Jeter, come on.
I'm
The
offended.
shock. I see the disgust on your face, but I had to be true. I'll always be true. What you get from me is always transparency. I will always have a special place in my heart for the Yankees.
Oh man. See, I'm a Texan born and raised, so I love the Rangers. I hate the Astros, and I'm a humongous Dodgers fan. So there you go. That's
See,
yeah,
you had Dodgers in there.
yeah.
They're a very good team, I will say.
Man, the Dodgers. That's my team. Angels are up there too. I like LA teams, but I just don't like LA. Going to LA. That's just my thing. Okay, we'll get back to more fun questions here in a bit. Let's talk about your infrastructure plan here. I'm looking at it. Um, you want to cut costs and improve public infrastructure. Explain how you would do that.
Yeah, so it's definitely so Southeast Arlington. I'm not sure if you've spent a lot of time down here, but
That's where I live.
oh, you
Yeah,
okay? Awesome.
I'm District
Uh,
2.
okay, wonderful. So you already know there are some infrastructure issues that are visible that you could see. Certainly, as needs arise, there could be more. But it's important to address those issues and address those issues in a way that isn't a band-aid solution or a stopgap solution, especially as it relates to infrastructure. But there's always that question in the back of your mind of who's going to pay for this, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do we find the funding for this? And the reality is, if you look at this last year's budget, we do have an emphasis on the entertainment district, and with the entertainment district, we were in a pandemic and they weren't able to operate as they normally would. We did have a loss in revenue, which was really important to our sales tax revenue. So that's one area that the city council had to cut costs to kind of make up for that, and make sure that we're not in the negative for this incoming year. So before we can actually talk about, cutting costs is incredibly important, and that's a large way that the city council was able to make up for that loss in revenue. And just understanding efficiencies are really important, looking at areas that where maybe we could reallocate resources to cover our infrastructure needs, looking at ways where we can continue to grow our revenue to cover infrastructure needs, among many other needs as well. But the reality is that Southeast Arlington, East Arlington often gets overlooked from these conversations. Just moving from neighborhood to neighborhood, you can see the differences, as clear as night and day. And so as we continue to solve for some of these issues and make sure that our neighborhoods needs are met, and even things like, speed bumps and stop signs, and just the things that will help keep our neighborhoods safe, and also reduce traffic and road congestion and all of those things that come of that. It's definitely more of a full faceted approach, and I'd be interested to see also as we move forward, and again, looking at our budget and what we could allocate towards that, doing it in a manner that's efficient, that lessens the burden on the taxpayer is really important.
Yeah.
Because that's something that we've been also advocating for is hopefully lowering our taxes, but at least keeping them, avoiding any tax increases, which is usually the first place people look when they're like, oh, they're fixing roads, that means my taxes are going up. It's like,
Because like in Arlington, our roads suck. I mean, there's potholes everywhere. I mean, you see it like when we first moved into this new house, we had a giant pothole right in the middle of our street, and my dad contacted City Hall and like, yo, we gotta get this fixed. And like in 2 days, they came out and fixed it. I was like, wow. So if we can just get enough people complaining, we could get these fixed.
Well, yes, that goes back to, again, our city has great resources. We have definitely, the individuals, especially that work for the city and get those things done, are out there and working very hard. But the reality is, it's a lot larger of a city than people expect, and the needs are just everywhere. So making sure we continue to prioritize that is really important.
Oh yeah. Is there a candidate running for mayor that you have been following up on? Is there anybody that you've been looking up at? I want to work with them.
So I've actually, I think if not all of them, most of them, I've actually come to know. I mean, so our city council person, Marvin Sutton, I'd already known him over the years. And he's wonderful. He's a great example of a leader that's just, out there in the community, and not afraid to roll up his sleeves and get work done. But as far as the other candidates go, I would say all but two others I've gotten to know over the course of the campaign, and honestly, they're all really great
They are
people. I
really
mean,
nice people.
politics aside, right? They're great people that are just fun to talk to, really passionate about the community, and are just really in it for the greater good, right?
Mm.
Um, I would say I'd be excited to work with any one of them. It's really interesting how things are shaping up, so we'll see who our next mayor is. But
Yeah.
you have such a variety of experiences, such a variety of backgrounds, and I mean, are you are you more biased to Jim?
I mean,
Your
I
friend?
so for me personally, I've talked to Jim more. I actually had a full on conversation with him and got to know him a lot better. Uh, you know, I don't want to say anything wrong because I like to have people on my show. But there's some that I disagree with. But there's a lot that I agree with. I have not seen one candidate that I've been like, ah, would not be a great leader. Um, but my full endorsement went to Jim Ross. Um, I believe that he has a great view of this city and knows he has a perfect background for it, and so that's who I think would be great. In that same list, I put you in it. I put Barbara Odom Wesley in, Andrew Peel in. I was even endorsing people in Fort Worth and Dallas, for that matter. So like I'm all over the place. So
No, I mean, even for the city council candidates as well. I mean, I've gotten to know quite a few of them over the course of the campaign, and it's so funny just how organically that happens. Like, you don't
yeah,
go in this trying to. I wouldn't say that the top priority would be to make friends, right?
yeah,
Like, but it just naturally happens because you get to meet those people, and even um, folks that you otherwise would have thought like, oh, we don't, our political views are so different, and I don't know how to connect with this person. And again, I've never had that issue.
mm,
There's always something to connect with someone on, and they're all really great candidates. I'm excited to see, for all of us to see kind of how all of the races shape out, whether that's in Arlington, or I've also gotten to know a lot of candidates in Fort Worth and Dallas, and even as far as Wiley
wow,
and Plano. Wow. And it's a lot of us are first time candidates, and so there's somehow this natural bond that occurs
yeah,
that we're all kind of in it together, and we formed a cohort of sorts of first time candidates, and we're constantly texting each other like, hey, how are you holding up? Or earlier in the campaign when we're still trying to figure out and making those connections of like what resources we need, and groups to tap into. Hey, did you think of this person, or did you think of this group, or did you get this endorsement, did you talk to these folks? So it's been really, really great, and I'm so excited
oh
just
yeah.
to see how it shape out on Saturday, and hopefully I'm rooting for all my friends, so
Are you
hopefully
gonna
they
be
all
having
get
a
elected.
big watch party on Saturday?
You know, we made a last minute decision to host a watch. It's not a big party by any means, but it was really just with our volunteers,
Yeah,
um, who have been just so wonderful, and have given so much of their time and their energy and their resources to the campaign. And so just to kind of see how things shape up, and regardless, it's a celebration.
it is.
So it's been an amazing journey, truly an honor. And so we'll see what happens on Saturday, but it's just a fun way to celebrate.
So this episode is actually sponsored by a group called Pod Decks, and one of the decks that I have here is the interview deck. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. And
Oh,
so
there
what
you
they
go.
are is they help small podcasters. They reached out to me to ask to endorse them and sponsor everything. The fun biz of being an entertainer. So we're gonna ask you some questions from here, and I've seen these
Okay.
questions, and they go deep.
All
I
right,
know.
I can get.
All right, here we go. Wait a minute. When we're Oh, here we go. This is the first question's already hilarious. When were your parents most disappointed in you?
um, Most disappointed. Okay, so I have to give context to this.
Okay, of course.
But I think this is a universal experience. My parents are immigrants.
Mm.
I'm first generation American. So anytime that I did not get like an A plus on everything, like if I got an A, I knew they were disappointed.
Oh,
I was not gonna cut it. So yeah, there's been a few times where they're like, "Oh, an A is good, but why didn't you get an A
you
plus?
can do better.
You can do better."
Where are the
I
immigrants
would
from?
say, what's that?
Where are they immigrants from?
They're Palestinian.
Okay, interesting. Oh,
Yeah,
because
they're
like
great though.
you don't
Super
see much of
supportive of
that.
everything we do, except growing up, the grades, education was always as
Yeah,
a priority. So you better get those straight A's.
yeah. All right, next question. What is your greatest regret?
Ooh, okay. I will say that I don't have too many regrets in life, but I almost wish that I would have gone to law school like pretty earlier on. I know it's not too late. Everyone says that to me all the time, but I feel like I would have really liked to have gone to law school right after undergrad and just kind of seen where that part of again, very fortunate to have the career that I have, but I sometimes still think about it. So I don't know. Who knows? But
My mom is
that
watching.
sometimes lingers.
You just made my mom's eyes light up. She's a paralegal and she's wanting me to go to law school. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be a lawyer. I like to entertain. I don't like to sit here and go, "You're guilty."
Yeah, you could still do both though. You could be
Yeah.
a lawyer that has a podcast.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I could sit there and go. So this case I was on, man. I can't tell you much, but dang.
Right?
All right. What is your secret talent?
Secret talent. I don't know. I have a real I don't know if this is a talent, but I have a really high tolerance for heat. So like spicy foods.
Okay.
And that's always like people are shocked when I'm out and I'm eating with them and I'm just like layering on all the heat and they're like, "You don't feel that?" And I'm like, no. As my
Oh,
eyes are running and
oh, that hurts me. I can't. Every time I go out with my friends and we go I think we went to an Indian, I want to say. It had spicy food, and I get hurt over Taco Bell mild sauce if I have too much of it. I Because I start to get ulcers and it hurts like no other. So I tend to,
I have to balance
yeah.
the heat with the potential of getting an ulcer. But that's always usually something that shocks people. Other than that, I don't have too many secrets. I'm pretty much an open book. So
So here's a good one. What do you value most in your friends?
I value loyalty, but also integrity. I think it's really important, especially in your personal relationships, to have integrity and to make sure that you hold people to those standards and hold each other accountable. That's where the integrity piece comes into, because despite the fact that I value loyalty, I definitely don't want people to just say yes to everything I do. Like if I do something, call me. Those you're like makes you take pause. Like I also want you to call me out on it.
Mm.
I think that's a good balance of friendship, but also just making sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that have a high moral compass. Um, and just I talked about it a little bit overall, but I really do value relationships quite a lot.
Because you need a good relationship with people because in this case you're running for city council, those people are going to help you out. You know, um, one thing I value most in my friends is humor. Uh, I love
That's
a good.
another. Yeah.
It's a good one because I sit here. Me and my friends joke all the time. I mean, you can you can ask anybody that knows me. We're constantly just making jokes, and I learn a lot from my friends on how to be funny. In fact, there was one thing in this podcast that we did, I think last week, that was inspired by one of my friends' jokes that I just did it, and they're like, "What was that?" And I was like, "Oh, you don't get it. Dang it." But loyalty is another good one. Uh, what is it called? Loyalty, and then there's also just the great, just having them support. That's the number one thing. Is
So
if they're gonna
important.
support me, I gotta support them back, and so
Mhm.
that's one thing I hold dear to my heart. This is a deep question. You ready for this?
All right, let's do it.
Aren't projects a great business, man? What is one moment in your life that you can redo?
that I could redo.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow, that's tough because like so many come to mind that I've just enjoyed so greatly. But at the same time, I don't know if I'd want to redo anything
Mm,
because I'm excited about what the future holds and I want new experiences versus reliving the old ones. But I will say there's certain years that come to mind as well, like for different reasons. But 2007 was a great year. Looking back on it, like 2017 was a great year, 2019 was a great year. Those three really come top of mind because I was able to achieve different things that I was really working very hard towards. Um, but yeah, I know that doesn't answer your questions, but I'm more of a looking forward
yeah.
person versus looking back. What would you do?
Oh
What would
man. I
tables
guess
are turned?
you know everything that I have done in my life has had a purpose in the long
Hmm.
run. I was a band kid in high school and I hated it, but I did it. And then after I was done with it, I made a documentary about them, and that really made like my life for film go off. Like, bing, this is what I want to do. So like all the like I don't want to say like suffering that I've done because I haven't really suffered, but all like the bad stuff that I've gone through has really had an outcome of happiness for me. I grew up without a dad, and now I have a dad, and I owe everything to him. He's been my biggest support for everything, and so like I wouldn't redo anything. I'd probably have steal your answer. I like to look forward and see like, okay, I messed up today, but how is this gonna play out in like a year? So I have two more questions for you.
Okay.
First one, do you want the scary one or you want the other scary one?
I was gonna say if there's a scary one and a less scary one, I'll do the scary one first just to rip the band-aid. But if they're both scary, then I'll I'll, I'll defer to you on that.
what's a reoccurring nightmare or dream that you've been having?
Okay, so this is gonna sound really crazy, but I don't dream like ever.
What?
And that's partially because by the time I'm always doing so much in a day, like even pre-campaign, I jam pack my schedule and try to do as much as possible. And so I'm always running around and always doing a million things. And so I think by the time that I get to bed, I'm so exhausted that I just like pass out and then it's the next day. So I don't dream often. It's
Wow.
weird.
I have a dream about becoming president. I'm just kidding. In this last question, what is left on your bucket list?
Oh, um, really, my bucket list is made up of just destinations and places I want to travel to. So, couldn't really do any travel this last year, of course. And so, when it's safe to do so, uh, I'm going to try to squeeze as many travel
Oh yeah.
opportunities as I can when I'm allowed to, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Where's the first place
If
you're
I'm
gonna go to?
I'd love to go to Europe.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, yeah, so like just explore more of Italy or, kind of do I visited Spain in the past and I just absolutely loved it. So I would love to get back out there. So do some European travel. Southeast Asia is an area that I have not traveled at all in. So I'd love to explore that as well. But I have those on my bucket list for sure. And also just, the skydiving and some of that. I have to work my way up to the skydiving piece, but
Oh,
I think I really want to do it. I want to do it with a milestone though. So I was originally saying that I wanted to do it on my 30th birthday, and then that didn't pan out. So I'm like, maybe 40.
I can. So what am I'll even ask you this. I'll tell you my biggest fear, and then I'll have you tell your biggest fear. My biggest fear is the ocean and heights.
Oh, okay.
because heights I've grown up with. I remember getting on top of a table and just bawling and not wanting to come down because I'm just terrified. I and this is a bad thing to say, and you know, this is just the mindset that I've had, and it's a joke that I've always told. Is like I go on airplanes a lot, but I'm not scared of getting on airplanes because I have other people around me. If I'm there by myself, I'll freak out. But like if you know, there's people with me, and the joke that I say is like, if the plane goes down, I'm not the only one going down. I know. It's just a joke. But and then oceans. See, I'm fine with pools, rivers. I went kayaking beginning of last year, and the ocean. I'm just scared of the vast openness. We don't know anything about our ocean. It's terrifying. Think about that.
Fair. That's fair. It's so deep too, so
Yeah,
it's
and it's not our house.
it's not our house.
It's those things. There's sharks there. There's sharks. You would not want me coming over to your house and be like, yeah, I'm gonna chill here and eat a sandwich and not. No. But guys, if you guys want to check out Pod Decks, use pro TCLIVE to get 10% off your first purchase. Miss Diana, what is your biggest fear?
Um, Biggest fear, I'm really afraid of insects and like spiders
Yeah.
and the usual. But I do agree with you on the ocean piece. Like I don't foresee one day maybe I'll overcome that fear and try to go snorkeling, but um
No.
if I can't see the bottom, it's not happening.
No. Like I'll go into like an ocean, but like it's like the knee high where I can still see my
Right,
feet, and then I'm like,
right, right.
all right, I'm satisfied, and then just get out.
Right. The people that go like deep sea diving and all those types of activities are I'm always amazed by that because that's definitely not an area that I have pursued or have been interested in. Um, but I've been telling my friends that as I get older, I really want to go out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, writing it off completely. Maybe I'll do it one day, but for right now, it's a no.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on my show. It's been a fun episode. You know, early voting just ended. I think yesterday. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, no, the day before. Yes, the days are a blur. It ended Tuesday.
And a Tuesday. Okay. So if they want to go out and vote still for the late voting, it's May 1st, correct?
May 1st is election day, and
Yeah.
polls are open from 7 to 7. And there's so many polling locations across Arlington. So no excuses. And if you need a ride to the polls, I will gladly take you myself. Just need everyone to get out there. I'm a little worried because Saturday is supposed to be a rainy day, and so that kind of sometimes prevents people from getting out. But I hope um, you'll brave you'll brave you'll brave the rain to exercise your civic duty, which is so important, especially locally.
Yes.
I keep telling everyone that'll listen to me that progress happens locally. The decisions that are made at a local level impact our lives so much more than even things that are happening at the national level. So I hope everyone will get out to vote, and I'm so grateful for you, Trenton, because you're out here helping folks get more informed, but also advocating for our younger citizens to get out there and exercise their right. And thank you for that.
Oh yeah. I'll make fun of you for a second when we were emailing like, hey, I want you on my show for younger people, and you said kudos, and I was like, I thought she was younger. See, I make fun of my guests. That's what I do. I don't care.
Oh no, it's fine. That's probably like the corporate talk in me,
I'm like, oh,
like
kudos.
you kind of have to like turn it on and off, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like tip of the
Well,
hat to you.
is there anything you want to shout out before we head off here? Your website to see more information about you. What is it called?
Thank you for the plug.
Of course.
So if you want to follow along, which I really sincerely hope you do, you could check out our website. It's dianaforarlington.com, and that's FOR. It's also Diana for Arlington on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm on Twitter as District 3 Diana to make it easy to remember. So please follow along, reach out. Your feedback's always important. Again, it's your feedback is what helps inform everything that I'm able to do in the future, and what you'd like to see differently, or what you'd like to for the city to continue to do. And again, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
I know it was fun because I'm Trenton Chapel Live.
oh yeah, and definitely recommend, if you have the opportunity to come on Trenton Chapel Live, that you do so without hesitation.
Thank you, thank you. Next week, guys, we have Eddie Fitzhugh coming on the show. Eddie is a good friend of mine. He is a priest in the Anglican community, and we're gonna be talking about all things Christianity and other religions. So that's gonna be fun. Um, Again, thank you for coming on the show. I better see my episode on your website front page. I'm just kidding. And I wish you the best of luck on Saturday in the election. I'm rooting for you. You're my prayers, as I say to everybody. And good luck.
I need all the prayers.
Yes.
God hears all the prayers, and I need them all. So
Good luck. I'm rooting for you. So, with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in to Trenton Chapel Live. Again, vote Diana Saleh, District 3. Um, she's awesome. You saw it here. She is a person, not a robot. She can laugh. I had a guest on that did not laugh, and I was like, okay. They just stood
at
there,
all.
like, yeah, I do that. I'm like, come on, man, let loose.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.